Possession crucial from this. How much longer will the referee allow? Dublin lead by a point, and there's the whistle. It's over. It's over.
Well, hello and welcome to the RTÉ GAA Podcast. We're back to preview the weekend's action in the Allianz Hurling League. Just hurling this weekend, and we've done something a little different this week as well, because we said we'd go and try and get the most famous man in Clare to join us on the podcast. We couldn't decide who's the most famous man in Clare, so we got the two most famous men in Clare to join us. Marty Morrissey is with us in studio, and Anthony Daly joining us well. How's it going, lads?
Very well. I never heard of Anthony Daly. Did he play a bit of hurling?
Do you want to confirm that, Anthony?
Puck the odd one out, Cathal. Puck the odd one out.
Good to have you along, lads. Good to have you along. Just hurling this weekend, probably just one place to start as well. Marty, Cork and Tipp repeat the All-Ireland final.
It's undoubtedly the game of the whole weekend, to be perfectly honest. And I believe that ticket sales are flying out the door. I think the two stands are gone, for as I know. But and it was the same actually I was down in Cork a couple of weeks ago for the Cork Waterford game. And I think it was around 25,000. It was amazing. I mean, the game was over after 10 or 15 minutes, but nobody left. And they stayed until the very end. So the passion for Cork hurling is as strong as it was last year. It was a momentum, and that momentum seems to be continuing on under the new management.
Yeah, it is. Anthony, what have you made of the performances of Cork so far? Probably two very different games. The Waterford match, they won quite well, but they were stretched quite a bit up in Salthill last weekend.
Yeah, they were. And credit to Galway, they've put in two big shifts, I suppose. They have a break now. Cork, the first day, I couldn't believe how, passive Waterford were on the day. They just never, and the contrast in Waterford in the week is incredible. They obviously had a good hard look at themselves and they responded. But on the day it was too easy. I think it was 10-1 after 12 minutes. The biggest benefactors on the day, Cathal, to tell you the truth, were the Cork footballers. Because the crowd were in and they came with a late rally to beat Cavan. So, that's just the reality of it on the day. It was so easy, but they were impressive. And look, in Salthill, they were down 6 points in the first half and they responded just before half time, and it got a bit hot and heavy in the tunnel, and there was a great buzz in the place. And we got a great league game, I think, out of it. And even when they got the 2 goals from Ryan Hayes, Galway didn't give up the ghost, and they got the next 4 points from Young Ireland Island. And Cork, though, I think Ben would have been much happier getting onto the bus in Salthill than he would have been just coming up from the park the first day, because he learned a bit more and it was more of a test of character, and they came through it again. So, but I'd say this one is the one we're all kind of a mouth-watering one, really. I don't think there'll be shadow boxing. I think they'll go at it. And I know they meet in the first round in Munster. And you might think maybe that they might pull back a bit. Ben has made no secret that he's going to give everyone their chance that's on the panel. So you will see a bit of experimenting, and Liam has done that already with his team. But I think for this one, no one will want to take a backward step for some reason.
That's what it feels like, Marty, doesn't it?
Very much so. And I mean, I mean, the game against Waterford was over after 10 minutes, and Waterford were so poor. And I happened to do the Waterford Limerick game last weekend, and I couldn't believe, as Anthony said, just couldn't believe the transformation in 7 days. They looked like a Junior B team against Cork the first day, and they looked like a real Premier team last Sunday against Limerick. But to concentrate on Cork, I think there was a steeliness. I like Galway. I know they've lost their opening 2 games, but there's something happening. I did the Galway Tipp game, Carl, and they really put it up to Tipperary, the All-Ireland champions, on a bad, cold evening. And they showed a lot of character in Salthill. And I know they've lost 2 games, but Galway, to me, are going about their business the right way. And they really did put up to Cork. But Cork, as Anthony said already, they're going to give a couple of lads a trial run and give them a chance. And indeed, there's St. Finbarr's man following the footsteps of the great cheeky Charlie McCarthy at number 13 that has done very well. I think you'd agree with me, Anthony, that he's done very well.
Yeah, and he left him out in Galway, obviously, but he was man of the match, William Buckley, down in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, and be probably likely that he'll come back in. They don't have any real worries about Fitzgibbon. I think they've nobody in action, whereas a lot of the other counties tonight have a lot of players playing in Fitzgibbon semi-finals. And I mean, they're really always hard fought, but I think this year with the final in Croke Park, it's going to be an extra bite in those tonight. Really looking forward to them. But Cork are in the lucky position. They don't really have, the 2 Cork colleges are out. and they don't have anybody, I think, on their panel now caught up with that. So he'll have options. For me, I suppose Darragh O'Leary at number 3. He's got 70 minutes under his belt now. Reasonably good, I think. Jason Rabbit caused him a problem or two, maybe set up the goal, but he was fairly steady. Is it something that Ben thinks is the long-term solution to number 3? Because I think number 3 is a bit of an issue for them. I think going down, he could play in the half-back line very easily. Would Robert revert to 3? A bit of talk about Kieran Joyce even being a possible 3. So I think that full-back line probably has to be settled a bit more, and 3 is the crucial one there. And I mean, will Liam Cahill now start John McGrath on the edge of the square? And we know the damage he done there in the All-Ireland. So, yeah, it's fascinating. So many of the young Tipp players as well putting up their hands and saying, I want a piece of this, because they saw what Darren McCarthy, Sam O'Farrell, Oisin Donoghue, Paddy McCormack now came on, got the goal the last day. Josh Keller played really well. Jack Leamy played very well. And a couple of the defenders as well played really well. So, yeah, I think it's fascinating to know what way the managements will go. We'll all be waiting, of course, till Friday night. Well, maybe tomorrow night with the match being Saturday evening.
Yeah, we'll wait and see the team selections. Just on Cork, lads, we've seen them in 2 matches now under Ben O'Connor in the National League. What have we seen, or have we seen, Anthony or Marty, any changes in their style compared to what they played under Pat Ryan last year?
No, I don't think there's any change really. Is there, Anthony? Not that I could see. I think they were still using the diagonal ball as much as they could. I just think there's an appetite there that Cork want to prove. I think there's more mental than anything else. I think there's a steeliness. And if you want to play it tough and hard, okay, they play it tough and hard.
And that's what Ben O'Connor's comments after the Galway match suggested as well.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest indication. And I was very impressed with William Buckley today against Waterford. And I thought he had potential to make it at the top level. But I mean, it's early days, that having been said, and Waterford were so poor. So there's a lot of criteria. But the biggest thing I think is the appetite is there. And I think when you're getting 25, 30,000 to any arena in January, February.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was 19, 20 and I was ever good enough, which I wasn't, but that would inspire you to get on that Cork team and show what you can do.
Yeah, and they have a great crowd up in Galway with them the last night as well, Anthony. But in terms of the style, what have you noticed, or have you noticed anything?
Yeah, I wouldn't say there's anything too different. People maybe are perceiving that there's a bit more of an edge to their play, Colin, and that Ben might be bringing that. I don't know. I think Ben's teams were always good and tough when he was over the 20s, and indeed when he won with Middleton. But I think the players are hurting from the All-Ireland, and they're anxious to show that they're not a soft touch and they're not going to roll over easily for anybody. And I think that's more of what we're seeing. And like, the options are frightening, really, to be honest. I think it's in defence, maybe a little bit of a worry, but if they can afford, like we saw Tim O'Mahony coming back in the last day, if they can afford to play Darragh Fitzgibbon in the half-forward line with the way Seamus Hardy came back last week, with the way Shane Barrett is hurling at centre forward, Dermot Healy is going to be, he was brilliant the first day. And then inside, Decky Dalton, a great game the first day, maybe not as effective the last day, but you look at the options you have with William Buckley and with Connolly, and Brian Roach was very good the first day. So it's frightening. Nobody has the options that they have up front. I just think they probably need to get a bit more tight at the back and concede less. And that will be worked on by Ben O'Connor, you can be sure.
What about Tipperary, Marty? What are you expecting from them?
I'm hugely impressed with Tipperary. I know that they're All-Ireland champions, but they just seem to have improved with time. I mean, if I may say, in with my own county, that day in Cusack Park in Ennis, like Clare were badly hit with injuries in 2025, and yet they came within inches of achieving victory that day. I think it was John McGrath, I think, if I'm not mistaken, got the point that gave them the momentum again. And then they went on and they did what they did. So it was, the chapter was written in a certain way, but when you turn the page, Tipperary have turned this around. And Liam Cahill, if you compare 2024 or 2025, you can't compare. But the depth of talent that he's now got, as much as what Cork has, what Anthony has said, there are players emerging that want to be the next Darragh McCarthy or whoever else that has inspired them in 2025. There's an appetite there and there's a hunger. And I think Liam has a depth of talent that Ben O'Connor probably has as well. And there's a belief and there's a swagger. And I thought I thought Galway did very well against them, and they found their rhythm eventually. And I thought the last stage was an easy challenge. But this, as we said at the beginning of our podcast here with you, Saturday will give us a better barometer where the two teams are.
Yeah. What have you made? The comments that Liam Cahill has made, lads, so far, he seems to be happy enough with where they're at in terms of the depth that they've got in the panel.
Yeah, sure. It's what the Donald Logue said, the land of milk and honey now. I know, you look at they captured their fourth RTÉ Cup in a row on Saturday as well. A great match now, in fairness, but everything seems to be going in the right direction for Tipperary hurling. And I could be saying that, and they have no All-Ireland one last year, but they're the All-Ireland champions. The back-to-back thing has been a long time not being achieved. I think not since 65, so I'll be anxious to try and do that. But we know initially how hard, there's going to be two good teams gone out of Munster, let's face it, and that'll be uppermost in all five managers' minds, is just get out of Munster. Yeah, they have a lot of options. You just saw, I mentioned a lot of young fellas there, Carl. The two McGraths came on and got 1-2 between them, Noel and John. So
it's a lovely mixture, isn't it, that they have? It's a lovely mixture.
I mean, like, look, we didn't see, I thought Offaly, and I'm not being down on Offaly now, because I think Offaly have been hit the hardest by the Fitzgibbon, because they've about 6 guys still involved tonight. And Donald Shirley has been ruled out, and I'm hoping he'll be back tonight. He's their centre back. I think he's their centre back for a lot of years to come. Adam Screeney couldn't start the last day. He'll be starting tonight, because you well or badly hit with injuries. But yeah, like, I didn't see anybody going to Tullamore and putting up 5-24. Yeah. So I can tell you, like, you know, Jason Ford, 3-10. You know, so like, there is an awful lot. Seamus Kennedy's fully back fit this year, and all the young lads then, and now the Brian O'Mara's and the Craig Morgans are established men, leaders of the team, and yet they're quite young. They're only mid-20s. So there's a lot. There's a frightening amount in there, and this is a mouth-watering game. Yeah,
from a tactically this weekend, did they go Tipp with the same structure that helped them in that All-Ireland final last year that everyone was talking about after?
I doubt it. I'd say he might in the Munster Championship, but I don't know, will he give away too much tactically? They'll go hard at it, both of them, but I think it'll be just a good, honest game. Like Cork, everyone has the narrative they play 3 up. They don't really, like, they start off with 3 up, but as we saw against Waterford, Marty, myself, William Buckley was the roving guy that day. And they like to have that roving guy. And obviously with Hoggy not there now, Hoggy wasn't really meant for roving, obviously. But with Hoggy gone, just so many options, like Brian Hayes. I mean, how good could Brian Hayes be this year? I mean, every year it's been incremental, the building blocks for this guy. Is a superstar now, an all-star, and I'd imagine we'll see him starting by the banks of the Lee on Saturday night. And who'll lose out, I don't know, but it's going to be a belter, I think. I don't know if there'll be too much in it tactically, and giving a chance to each other to figure ways out. Look, I'm sure Ben O'Connor has looked at the All-Ireland final forensically and has seen the way Tipp got Brian O'Mara as the extra half-back and closed them down virtually. But at the same time, there was more to that match than just Tipp playing a +1, because we never saw a collapse like it in our lives in an All-Ireland final. I don't remember one anyway, from a team 6 ahead to lose the second half by 21.
And I think it's a psychological thing again with Cork. I think they will want to win. I know it's only, first Sunday in February, but they will want to win this to prove a point that what happened in July was a blip. It was a major blip, and that hurt that Anthony was talking about is really there. When you talk to the Cork hurlers, they are determined to try and set out the stall from the very beginning. So I do think it may be irrelevant in the overall storyline that we're going to develop over the next 6 to 7 months. But I think from a Cork perspective, I think it's more important that they win, and particularly from their home support, to maintain that and to show that things just went wrong for them on that day in July.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. We'll have it live on RT2 this weekend as well on Saturday night. Just to chat through the other 1A fixtures, lads, this weekend as well. Marty, you mentioned Waterford. You watched them last week. That was a great performance against Limerick down in Walsh Park.
I mean, I'd have to say that when I was assigned to the Waterford Limerick, I was saying, oh my God, this is going to be one-sided, having done the Waterford Cork game.
Yeah.
But it turned out, I said, 10 minutes gone, 15 minutes gone. And these Waterford lads showed a lot of character. I think Peter Queally told me today in Cork they were missing 11 first-choice players for the game against 11. That included 5 or 6 in Ballygunnan, and then there were injuries and everything else. Yeah. But they still were missing more or less the same amount. But again, the psychological aspect I thought was huge. They tore into Limerick. And they got huge support in Walsh Park that day. And you could sense that the momentum was growing and they weren't going to give it up. And certainly I thought they showed fair play. I thought they showed a lot of character. And I think they'll want to build on it when they have Offaly at home on Sunday.
Yeah, character is the word, isn't it, Anthony, with Waterford last weekend? You were highlighting it on the television actually on Sunday night, some of the turnovers they won in the tackle in particular.
Yeah, and the way they celebrated winning those frees down the stretch, and it was the old kind of Waterford, you know, really up for. But you'll have, I think, in Walsh Park, Carl, they really pride themselves in Walsh Park and that, you know, making it into a bit of a fortress since they renovated it and that. And I think we saw that against Clare in the championship last year, probably cost Clare their defence of their title, losing that one. And look, the thing with it was, I think he made reference that they took time off work in college to train in the middle of the day, in the daylight. They went down there, down around the Gold Coast. There's a sand-based pitch there. And I think being able to start Mike Kiley at full forward as a fulcrum, he only came on against Waterford or against Cork, and Caleb Lyons before he went to Australia, let's face it, is one of the best wing backs in the game, and he's back and he played really well. I thought summed up the difference, the kind of Jekyll and Hyde thing we spoke about Sunday night, was the half back line. You know, Irla Daly for me was non-existent in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. He was outstanding against Limerick. Mark Fitz and Shane Bennett had a great game as well, but he wasn't really in it. So, this would be one that would put him, and we're praising Galway, but think about this now, Galway are off the weekend, and if Waterford can get the business done here and win, they'd be on 4 and Waterford be on 0, or Galway be on 0. So they've thrown the league wide open, especially at the bottom end of it, in terms of that victory against Limerick. And, I tease it up, Offaly have to win this one, I'd say, or they're 3 from 3 losses, and you couldn't see them getting out of it at that stage. So Offaly, should go and have a right cut, but if Waterford can come to 90% of what they hit last week, probably a bit tough for Limerick as well, listening to the whole week of how poor Waterford were. Yeah. And even with Caroline Curran there, maybe they found it a bit difficult to be 100% tuned in properly for the battle that they got. And they really did, and deserved victory for Waterford. And it's great to see them back motoring again. And
some of the new players did well, Anthony. Like Ruben Holleran is a lad that made his debut against Cork, and his free taking has been really impressive. Charlie Treen, the other corner forward, everybody tells me in Waterford he's a player of rich potential and has done well at underage. Brian Lynch, I thought, scored a great point. Shane Bennett got the puck out from Billy Nolan and straight to Brian Lynch, and he put it over from midfield. These are new players mixing in with the old guys. And I know what Peter Queally is trying to do. I don't know, does he have the depth of talent of Cork and Tipperary? I doubt it. But if you put in Ballygunner lads with them, and if they all gel well, Waterford will be thereabouts.
Yeah, Marty, and Sean Walsh got sent off against Cork as well, as remember. Thought it was a bit harsh.
That's right.
An interference with the helmet or whatever, but he'll be back, I think, available. You've the Ballygunner. I don't think he'll look for the Ballygunner game, lads, for this one, because you'll have the break coming, and maybe we'll see them in round 4. But you've Tyg de Burka, you've Stephen Bennett, you might have Kieran Bennett. You've quite a few to come back in, and Conor Keane is one that has really impressed me, cornerback. Yeah. De La Salle, man. I was asking John Mullane that first day we were down there, and he said, "Yeah, great bit of stuff." And he was outstanding the last day again. So, when everyone's available, they won't be too bad, and they'll be very, very competitive in Munster.
Yeah, and we're talking about players being available. Offaly have been decimated, Anthony, as you referred to there, with injuries. And I was listening to Johnny Kelly speak in the last day. He's not making any excuses, in fairness to him, but he is missing quite a bit of quality, isn't he, from his squad? And
in a small county, I mean, I'm a big fan of Offaly. I think we all are. I mean, what Offaly County, as a county, do at both Gaelic football and hurling is phenomenal, because they have a small enough selection. But my God, when they come to the table, do they bring a lot of characteristics that we'd all love. But there's only so much you can do when you don't have the numbers. And I think Offaly at the moment, I think Anthony again is right. I think this is a big one. They really do need to perform in Walsh Park, and that's not going to be easy.
No, just some of the players. Killian Sampson's out. Charlie Mitchell, Johnny Kelly didn't have an update on him at the weekend. Anthony Kieran Burke, I think, is another one. You mentioned Adam Screeney that didn't start the last day. So when you're missing that kind of quality type of player that they have, it's always going to be tough. Yeah,
Charlie, it'll be interesting to see does he play tonight for UCG. And they'll need him to have a chance of beating UL. But yeah, and Shirley is crucial for me. I think he's their centre back going forward. Funny enough, the game the last day, it was only 4 points in it, and Ben Miller got the black card and got sent off for the 10 minutes, and Tipp buried the penalty. And all of a sudden, then Tipp are gone 7 ahead, and Tipp are relentless and ruthless when they're in that position more than anyone, I'd say. And maybe it just got away from them, and maybe the heads dropped. And I'd say similar to Waterford last week, there would be a fair bit of sitting down this week and saying, right, or what are we about here? We have to go down into the lines then, and if we lose this, we're probably looking at 1B. And that wouldn't be the end of the world for them. The main thing is they stay in the Liam McCarthy in Leinster, like that they don't slip out of that and back to Joe McDonough. Because, you don't want to be yo-yoing like that with the talent they have, the young talent. So I'd expect to see a real decent, and that's what you go after. If you're Johnny, and like Johnny's around a good while with them, and they've a couple of the Tipp lads in the background as well, Bernard Maher, I think, and Shane McCallan. So look, they'll seek out performance here like Waterford did, and if it brings you a result, it brings you a result, but you must not 524 to 118 is not where you want to be. They have to go down and put out the chests and bring back that Offaly pride for Sunday. No better boys, I'd say, to do that. Yeah,
we're expecting big things from them on Sunday afternoon. And then Offaly played quite well against Kilkenny in their first match. Kilkenny are back out again this weekend. They play Limerick at the Gaelic grounds. Really two teams that have a bit to prove, even though we're still very early on in the year. But will there be a kick in Limerick, do you think, Marty, after last weekend?
I expect there will be. I mean, I think that'll be another, it's a kind of a Cork Tipperary of Sunday afternoon. It'll be the next big game that I would be looking forward to. I think Limerick will fight back. I mean, kick back. It's early days. They're so experienced. You know what I mean? It was only the first game of the league as well. But I think I would have expected that they would have done better in Waterford. But that having been said, I think with them when they're at home and having gotten the kick in the backside, they will want to go all out. And they love the rivalry that they have anyway with Kilkenny at the best of days. So it'll be... I think that there'll be a big challenge. And again, like other teams, John Kiley's introducing a couple of new players. Matthew Fitzgerald, I thought he was a bit unlucky now to get the black card the last day, but I thought he's done very well for Monaleen. Shane O'Brien is doing well. But again, it was the old fellas. It was, old fellas in inverted commas before Cian Lynch texts me. These guys, the experienced boys, that's the better English. Yeah. The experienced boys will, I think, step up to the plate. And when you have a look at Darragh Donovan coming back, Adam English will be there, Cian Lynch, Gerard Hegarty, Tom Morrissey.
Lynch played quite well as well didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, it's only a matter of time.
Yeah.
I think they need to get a better quality ball into that full forward line.
Okay.
Because the ball that was going in was a bit ragged. Now, that was full credit to Waterford, but I do expect Limerick to move up a gear.
Yeah, we were talking about John Kiley's comments on our podcast earlier in the week about how he spoke about maybe a lack of sharpness, but also, Anthony, that they were outworked Limerick the last day.
Outfought, I think, was his term, Carl. That's not something Mr. Kiley prided himself on.
No.
So I think you'll see a massive Limerick support. I don't think they even travel to Waterford in their usual numbers, probably expecting to win. And I think this team have given them so much, the Limerick public. I think they feel maybe now that there's, a couple of years now there's been no All-Ireland, and there is another All-Ireland in this team that feel. I think you'll see a huge Limerick support. Now, look, there is a few question marks, but Marty's right, I think, I suppose, when they were getting back at Waterford, and remember Dermot Burns had a free to level it, I suppose maybe 5 minutes ago or less. Cian Lynch came up with 3 massive plays. Gerard Hegarty came up with a massive play, and William O'Donoghue up from centre back came up with a massive play. I thought that was one of the successes of the day. I thought he played well enough there at centre back, and they would probably look at him again. yeah, as you say, Shane O'Brien, Adam English won't be there. I'd say Marty, the way he got carried off, I'd say with the shoulder, I don't think he'll see him tonight for UL either. He's going to be a huge loss. But these colleges guys, I think it's a bit unfair on them at the moment. I think they should be given priority to the college, to be honest. That's my own opinion on it. Or else maybe try and play the Fitzgibbon before Christmas in the Sigerson, so that these guys, they're being railroaded like Sunday, Wednesday, Sunday. And I know after tonight it's down to the final. But Adam, we've already seen Colin O'Neill pick up an injury with the college. And from Clare's point of view, John Keneally, who had started really well at centre-back, he went off with a hamstring up in Cushendall. So I think the colleges thing is tough. But yeah, Limerick, there's a question mark or two, I suppose. Is the hunger really there? I think they were just caught though, maybe lulled into a false insecurity with how poor Waterford were the first day. It's very hard to turn it around mid-game then if you're not quite tuned in. I'd say you'll see them fully tuned in. There's a lot at stake in this game, lads. The losers of this one will be looking over their shoulder as well, because Kilkenny, fair enough, have beaten Offaly at home by 4 points. Not impressive now, and missed an awful lot. I think their efficiency rate from shooting was 48% or something like that. They won't win many matches for you, but they got it done. And they got it done thanks to Owen Cody, Mossy Keown, and Jordan Malloy. They had to bring on Richie Reid and Paddy Deegan. They wouldn't have got there, I'd say. So who are you going to see back? Probably Deegan and Reid maybe starting, but they've lost Hugh Lawler, they've lost Billy Ryan to travelling. There doesn't seem to be an influx of young lads coming through that are kind of stand up. Adrian Mullen has had a horrid couple of years with injuries, and could we see TJ back at the weekend? I'm wondering, to try and rally them. And again, they'll be looking for a big performance. But usually, the one thing you get with Kilkenny is that there's no lack of endeavour, there's no lack of effort, and it should make for. I mean, they're 3 more watering games in lots of ways, and this one is a huge game as well. Yeah,
there hasn't been a huge amount of talk, has there, about Kilkenny?
No.
So far, it's very quiet.
And I'll go back to that in 1 second, Carl, because I think Anthony's made a really valid point about the Fitzgibbon Cup and the Sigerson as well. I'll include that. I mean, there's not a player that I know that hasn't wanted to play Sigerson or Fitzgibbon when you're at that level, because you get a chance to play with other players from other counties, and there is a great gelling, and it is a lifetime experience, apart from college and academia and all that sort of thing. It is the bonding that you get, where a player from, it might be a Roscommon hurler, gets a chance to play with the Clare and the Tipperary and the Cork lads. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
That is invaluable going through life, indeed. So I really do think that the GAA needs to look and give the Fitzgibbon and the Sigerson. When I was in college, the Sigerson was held over 1 weekend. Now, it was a mad, crazy weekend, but it was in some ways it was great, because all the players from all the colleges were in one place. It's more spread out now. But I do believe that the Fitzgibbon and the Sigerson needs to be given centre stage a lot more than what it's getting at the moment.
Where do you think is the solution then, lads? Where is the place in the calendar for it?
Well, straight away, I suppose bringing the 2 finals next week to Croke Park is a great buzz. I know it won't be too many people there, but for all of us who will be able to watch it live, both games, it'd be brilliant. It's the cream of inter-county players. I don't know, maybe they could play it before Christmas, or at least have it down to the semi-finals by the time they go back to college in January, so that it wouldn't, because with the split season now, it was different when I was managing, to be honest. Fitzgibbon was starting in January and probably finished by the end of February, and the league was only really starting then because we had a longer time span, obviously. So it's different now. The league is not going to be switching out of its current format. So I think if you could maybe, they do play the colleges leagues before Christmas. I think if you could maybe play the round robin before Christmas, at least have it down to a quarter final. I think a semi-final. And then you've only kind of two games, really, 2 nights of games. Like you have the 2 nights of the semi-finals like tonight and the final next week. But it's a hugely prestigious competition. Lads are in college for 3 or 4 years, and the Fitzgibbon medal is treasured. And
for sure.
Tune in tonight. You're going to see two rip-roaring games tonight.
It's an absolutely brilliant competition. The matches are fantastic. It's great entertainment, absolutely. We're coming towards the ends, lads, but just before we finish, obviously we'll get your thoughts on Clare, given our present company. They're going along okay. Anthony, that was a good win over Dublin first time out.
Yeah, very happy. I suppose Dublin were good and proved that again at the weekend, winning by 14 against Kildare. Baptism of fire for the Kildare lads going to Parnell. Dublin are settled, and they kind of, I'd say you could nearly name the Dublin 22 or 3 at this stage. They're the boys that beat Limerick last year and obviously flopped in the semi-final, but I think Neil is onto a good thing there. So look, it was a good win in the circumstances. Dublin probably felt aggrieved not to come away with something out of the game, but Clare got it done. I suppose Tony again down the stretch, 1-3 from Tony Kelly. But yeah, went fairly strong going up to Cushendall, which, we've been beaten up in Antrim recently, only 4 or 5 years ago. So I suppose they wanted to make sure that. And I suppose, look, you have to say Clare probably have 1 foot in the final of 1B at this stage, with having beaten Dublin. And we will have Wexford at home in the last match. So you'd imagine he will give a few more an opportunity against Down, I'd say. But yeah, I'd say in general, people around the county are fairly happy. Shane O'Donnell playing a league game on the 1st of February is very unusual. So,
yeah,
I think Brian is just saying we're all in on this league and championship. So yeah, we'd be very happy. You'd expect that they'd have too much for Down, although Down played great stuff against Wexford and unlucky again. Wexford have had two narrow escapes over the northern counties, but they crucially have 4 points on the board.
Marty, your thoughts on Clare?
Well, I haven't seen him in except from the highlights and listening and talking to the lads at home, but there is an appetite. There's a huge passion that the lads themselves want to give 2026 everything. And Shane O'Donnell, as Anthony says, playing a league game is very strange, but I think it's an indication of Brian Lohan's desire, Shane O'Donnell's desire, the team's desire. And the fact that Tipperary are All-Ireland champions is also an incentive, because there's a tremendous rivalry between us, you know, and I suppose it goes back to where Anthony and myself both went to school in Flannans, where we had the Clare lads and the Tipperary lads all playing in the RTÉ Cup and Dean Ryan, and it was important. So that rivalry is there anyway, apart from the geography. But I think this year Clare really want to give it everything, and I think there's a feeling as well that we were desperately unlucky last year with injuries. So this is a chance to rectify the situation.
Yeah, from a selection point of view, Anthony, I was reading Brian Lohan, I think it was at Christmas time in the local papers down there, that he needed the panel, or he wanted the panel to be a bit more robust this year in terms of maybe spreading the depth a little bit more. Has he managed to do that, do you think?
Well, I suppose it would be a tiny criticism from some people that he had to go so strong in the first 2 games with names. But at the same time, I think, there's a lot of good guys that we will see coming to the fore. And from now we see the 2 wins up now. So I think there will be an element of, let's throw in a few more now. We should be winning these games. And he did the last day, to be fair. I mean, you saw John Keneally, who has been outstanding for UL and also outstanding for Clooney Quinn, his club, getting to the county final last year. I think he's one that's might be injured now this week because he went off with the hamstring. Shane Meehan, he's not new on the panel, but has put back-to-back now really good performances. We're all a bit waiting. Sean Rinn had a fracture in his hand. I feel this is a big year for Sean Rinn for making it. And there's a few more then young lads. I mean, everyone knows about Stretch. He's class. He's still a little bit light, but he really has all the attributes. Like, he'd be in action for UL tonight. So there is, we've been very competitive, Cathal. I mean, black card, controversial penalty in the Munster Under-20 final against Conquer and Tipp last year when we were 4 ahead. We've been really Tipp's kind of closest rivals, although they've been winning the titles. But we've, our minors have been hugely successful. 4 All-Ireland semi-finals in a row, 2 finals and winning 1. So there is a lot of talent there, and dying to see them over the next few weeks now.
Yep, should be interesting to see how it develops. Marty, where are you heading for this weekend?
I am heading to Waterford, I think, for Waterford and Offaly, which I'm looking forward to.
Lovely trip.
It's a game that'll be my 3rd Waterford game in a row.
Very good.
It's like I could take out citizenship at this stage. I know I have relations in Tramore.
Get your blah when you land down,
Get
Marty.
my blah, correct, yeah. So I'm hoping to get visit the relations in Tramore and make sure that they're all right,
Very good.
They're always telling me Waterford are mighty anyway.
One of the good ones, Cathal, just to touch on them. Wexford Carlow had a massive win against Down in the first round after being 4 down at half time. Played really well. They blitzed them, scored 2-18. And they're going across to Wexford. It's live, I think, as well on Saturday evening. And they'll feel if they win that, they're in with a shout at the top of the table.
Yeah.
And Wexford haven't set the world on fire so far. And then the other one, Kildare obviously got a baptism of fire, but they already beat Antrim in the Walsh Cup. like Fitzy's pointless after 2 games. He has to win this one really, or he's probably going to be going into down the last match to survive. So they're 2 very, very interesting games as well for top and bottom of that division. Obviously the Dubs have the weekend off. Yeah, and Carlow weren't miles away last year either in that division.
There's some fine hurlers.
They certainly do.
But I do expect, I think Wexford will come good. I mean, I saw that I did a couple of games with St. Martin's, the club, and I know the club and county are different, but the spirit of Wexford was best reflected in St. Martin's, you know, and the O'Connors were just mighty. So I would expect them to improve over time.
Yep. Well,
problem is, Marty, like Lee Chin, I think is still a bit away, and Rory has gone to Australia for 6 months. Rory O'Connor. So I mean, you don't have Rory O'Connor and you don't have Lee Chin. Take them out of any forward line in the country, and you learn quickly what the reserves are like. And Jack hasn't. I mean, the Martins lads, I don't think are back yet. So they could do with them back, as you said, and maybe it's a good place to start would be Saturday evening.
Yeah, well, I agree. Let's see how it all pans out, lads. Thanks very much. And just before we go, don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And you also find in your feeds the RTÉ Rugby and RTÉ Soccer podcasts as well. But from a GA point of view, we'll talk to you again next Monday.
Possession crucial from this. How much longer will the referee allow? Dublin lead by a point.